Now, the book of Ephesians has been commonly, and I believe correctly, called the Alps of the New Testament. The view from Ephesians is breathtaking, inspiring, motivating. Indeed, you climb up into the very heavenlies in this book. We see ourselves seated with Christ in the heavenlies. And it does something to you and to me that is very, very practical. Once we see where we are and who we are in Christ because of what He's done for us, we find ourselves wanting to engage in service for Him. Be involved in ministry, whatever that might mean for you and for me. But I like the order that is laid out here in Ephesians. It is really the common order of all New Testament Pauline epistles, and that is this. The first 3 chapters of this book deal with doctrine. Again, we climb and see who we are in Jesus and what Christ has done for you and me. Then the last 3 chapters deal with duty. That is, because of who we are, then what we get to do. Not got to do, not have to do, but what we get to do because of who we are in Christ. It is my opinion that this is a real problem in the life of many Christians, indeed in a number of churches today. People and churches, in some cases, emphasize the duty before they understand the doctrine. And so it becomes sort of a works-oriented legalism kind of ministry mentality. In reality, if you just bask and just take in and absorb and ponder on and think through and rejoice in what Christ has done for you, you find yourself saying, hey, man, how can I serve Him? And so when Paul will later on say, if you're a wife, submit to your husband. Okay, no problema. But if you haven't understood chapters 1, 2, and 3, you'll go, wait a minute, chauvinism. Out of date with today's feministic thinking. Or when it says, children, obey your parents. If you haven't really been in chapters 1, 2, and 3 and seen who you are and what He's done, then that'll sound like a burden, like another heavy obligation. And this really, I have observed over the years, is a common problem in people. They read through quickly, if they read at all, chapters 1, 2, and 3, because they want to get to studying about husbands and wives and employees and employers, about the practical stuff. But that becomes burdensome, legalistic. They chafe at it. They wrestle with it. They argue over it because they haven't really spent time in the first 3 chapters. There's a divine design, you see. So we get to spend time here just climbing the mountain and seeing who we are in Christ. These 3 chapters are some of the most glorious chapters in all of the Scriptures, without question. A couple years ago, I took Tambo, my wife, on a journey. We stopped off at one of the stores in Medford. We got those fanny packs with the water bottle and place to put your granola in. Walking sticks, bandanas. Got all the stuff ready for our big day hike, you see. And I drove her up to Mount McLaughlin, parked our car in the paved parking lot at the base of the mountain, got water in our water bottles, filled up our fanny packs with the granola that we had purchased, got everything set up, ready to go, and I said, come on, hon. and we started walking. Now, if you haven't climbed Mount McLaughlin before, it's a great, great experience. You climb up a trail. It's relatively easy. It just sort of winds up the side of the mountain, and the view is exhilarating, inspiring, breathtaking. So I couldn't wait, because Tammy had not yet done that. I had done that years ago, one of the youth group functions. But Tammy had not yet gone. So this was great. So I led her, and we walked, and we walked, and we walked. And we walked, and we walked, and we walked. And we walked, and I thought, we've been walking for almost an hour and a half, and we still haven't ascended very high. And she said, "Are you sure we're going up?" "Yeah." True story. You can ask. We were gone for an hour and a half. When I stopped, I says, we really aren't climbing very much here. We had walked 90 minutes, and I turned around, and the mountain was behind me. We walked for an hour and a half away from the mountain, not up the mountain. I parked my car, went in the exact opposite direction. For an hour and a half. I thought I was climbing a mountain. So we sat down and ate our granola and went home. Embarrassing. But a lot of people set off on journeys saying, okay, I'm going to get my family together. My wife is going to submit to me, and I'm going to love her. Our kids are going to be obedient. We're going to be good bosses or good employees or whatever it might be. We're going to nail chapters 4, 5, and 6. All this practical stuff. And you walk, and you walk, and you walk. And you find that you're not really gaining much elevation. In fact, you just expend a lot of energy spinning your wheels, traveling, in many cases, in the wrong direction. Go to the top of the mountain. Understand these doctrinal truths. These are not written as boring points of theology for some esoteric scholars to discuss the arcane, minute detail of these things. These truths are meant for you and me to elevate us high in the heavenlies, that then the tasks that are before us in the world will not be burdensome to us or obligations upon us. I know this, that some of us have been walking in the wrong direction, trying to get things right in our lives, in our homes. In reality, you first must be seated with Christ in the heavenlies. The order of Ephesians is first to sit with Christ in the heavenlies. Then walk, chapter 4, verse 1, walk worthy of the vocation. Then, chapter 6, stand fast. The order of Ephesians is sit first, sit in the heavenlies, then walk worthy, and finally stand fast or steadfastly. But we encourage so often people to stand fast, hold your ground, and then start walking for Him, and maybe someday you'll sit in the heavenlies. We reverse the order. We tell our kids, we tell each other, stand fast, and then start walking, and then someday you'll be seated in the heavenlies, whatever that might mean. But in the biblical economy, in grace-oriented theology, it's sitting first with Christ, then walking worthy of Christ, a natural response, and then standing fast in Christ. And it works. Well, I'm looking forward to this study immensely.